let's talk about how we actually test and diagnose small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, or SIBO, because it's not quite as black and white as some other conditions. I'm Bex Cavanagh. I'm a dietitian and a gut health expert. And when it comes to SIBO testing, there's a lot to consider beyond just breathing into a tube. Right, so there's two main methods of testing. The main one that people are diagnosed through is a breath test. This is where you drink either a glucose or a lactulose solution, and then you breathe into tubes at regular intervals. So what we're actually looking for here are the gases like hydrogen and methane that are actually produced when inside your body, when bacteria ferment carbohydrates inside your small intestine. If those gases, they can enter your bloodstream and they can travel to your lungs and show up in your breath. So if they spike too early, this could indicate bacterial overgrowth early in your digestive tract, i.e. your small intestines, where it actually shouldn't be. So the other method is a small bowel aspirate and culture. So even though this method is actually the gold standard, it's rarely done outside research or hospital settings, as it is a fairly invasive testing process. So for this video, I'm just going to stick to talking about the breath testing method and what it can actually tell us about your gut, the limitations with the test, and the real world approach. So basically just a nice balanced view of this very common SIBO testing method. So what can this test actually tell us about your gut? There's some key clinical insights we can gauge from this breath testing. I mentioned the breath test does test for this hydrogen and methane. So what does it actually mean if those gases have a rise in either of those throughout the test? So typically, and this is, I have to stress that, typically, a rise in hydrogen is linked to a diagnosis in SIBO, often associated with diarrhea, predominant irritable bowel syndrome, or IBS, or even the mixed type of IBS. But methane tells quite a different story. So it's often considered now to be called intestinal methanogen overgrowth, or IMO, and that is more commonly associated with the symptom of constipation. So if you want to know more about SIBO and constipation, I actually do have a video about that too, so you can jump onto the channel and check that out. Now, SIBO tests are super helpful, but they are not perfect. So for example, they might miss some bacterial overgrowth at the end of the small intestine. The solutions that you drink, as I mentioned, one's lactulose, that can sometimes show some false positives, especially in people who have fast gut motility. So if you'd like to know more about what can actually cause false positives in SIBO tests, I do have another quick video about that on our channel as well. But basically, I just really want to stress the fact that, as I said, these tests are super helpful, but they should not actually be used in isolation as a diagnostic tool. The real-world application of these test results is combining these results with your full clinical picture, like your symptoms, your health and medical history, as well as lifestyle factors, before we make a diagnosis or even begin discussing a treatment plan. So really, the science around SIBO is still evolving, and a lot of the symptoms and the implications actually overlap with IBS, which just adds to the complexity. But with the right testing and expert guidance, we can get close to some answers. So as always, as I say, if you're dealing with bloating, irregular bowels, or unexpected gut symptoms, please reach out. Let's work together and figure out what's really going on and get you feeling like you again.